Rachael Hinds joins us from Tobago, where she has founded Taste Caterers with the tagline of real flavors in small bites. She joins us now to tell us more about the business and how she is giving back. Thank you for joining us, Rachelle. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Dike. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago.
Our pleasure, and I also want to say a special thank you to Caricia Douglas, one of the newest members to the TTT family, but at the same time making sure that I'm able to speak with individuals such as yourself from the beautiful sister Isle of Tobago.
Yes, correct.
Now, Take a Taste Caterers, what is this about? Because I hear in the name and it already have me feeling a type of way. So give me a little history on the business, please, Rachel.
Okay, Take a Taste Caterers. I am the owner of Take a Taste Caterers. I am from the sister Isle of Tobago, Bethel, to be specific, the beautiful village of Bethel. Take a Taste Caterers is a small home-based business that provides snack boxes and hors d'oeuvre platters for small functions. For example, baby showers, birthday parties, anniversaries, gender reveal, baby dedications, small intimate weddings. We provide snack boxes for those functions.
Now, you started in 2019, but at the same time, there was a little bit of this is after what? Because you did a course, I believe. What was that course about?
Yes, I did a 6 months course. I successfully completed a 6 months course, a vocational skills course with the Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labor that is under the Tobago House of Assembly. I further went on to do a course in March of this year at it's a private baking school in Trinidad, that's on Murray Street, the Academy of Baking and Pastry Arts, where I did two courses, donuts and macarons. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I had to put my studies on pause.
Very sorry to hear about that pause, but at the same time, this kind of just brings me, and we're looking at some of the products that you have on display. And
Yeah.
I think I should have eaten before we had this conversation because you're doing things to me, Rachel.
Yes.
But looking at the fact that this is what you're doing and this is what you've started since 2019, it seems as though, one, yes, you're minding your business because drunk or sober mind your business, but you're also
Correct.
giving back to the community. So what is the way that you're doing it with regard to the training and classes?
Okay, so the venture that I would have gone about doing for this year, 2021, and I hope that it continues, is having um, basic baking classes for individuals, for teenagers and adults. So
And
the reason I would have gone about doing this is because I saw where persons would have shown interest in wanting to learn to bake. And let me just say a skill. A skill is an ability to perform an activity in a competent manner. And we all know basic skills are very important. I believe everyone needs a basic skill. Like, for example, being able to read and write. We know these are basic skills. Being able to put on a computer and maneuver. So why not be able to prepare simple meals for yourself at home and not be dependent upon one sole person in the household? Why mommy and daddy have to prepare meals for you? You should just be able to get up and prepare something for yourself.
you're telling me that, and I feel like I would have a warm time if I wasn't working behind that kitchen and stuff in by Rachel. But the thing is, though, yes, it's a
Mm-hmm,
skill, but skills are honed over time. You said
mm-hmm.
that in 2019 you did the 6 months course. How,
Correct.
how, how much baking and how much cooking, how much experience would you have had before that? Because, you know, it's one thing, you're doing something for yourself, you're hungry,
Mm-hmm.
however you come out, you eat it. It's another thing to say, okay, well,
Yeah,
I'm going to go in, use this skill and go into
mm-hmm.
business.
Correct. Okay, well, I would have to say it's because of my love and my passion. I've always loved being in the kitchen. So it's nothing new to me. It's just that certain stuff I did not know. So I would have gone and registered for this vocational skill so that I could have improved. I'm a multi-talented person, so I could not let my talent go to waste. So over this COVID period, as I should say, the pandemic, I would have been home a lot. I was actually on holidays. I started my holidays with the pandemic, and I was doing a lot of baking, so I would have perfected my skill. And I decided well, I was posting on social media. Persons were supporting my business. And let me tell you, during this pandemic, while businesses were closing their doors, my business was actually growing. So the COVID was actually a good to my business. I cannot complain. I was always booked. I always had functions. If it was not having donuts or persons ordering donuts, I always had a function to cater for. I was fully booked.
So training people how to bake and make these things not going to be taken away from your business?
No, I believe there is sun to shine on everybody. Everybody has a uniqueness to their whatever they put their mind. So if it's baking, sewing, there's always a uniqueness. So even though this is what I do, I don't think I'm going to be losing. I'm actually gaining from showing somebody, passing on the knowledge. You ever hear this saying where they say the graveyard is the richest place on the earth? It's because people die with so much knowledge and they don't pass it on. I have always been a person who loves to share, give. So I just love teaching. That was one of the things I wanted to be when I was a little child. And it has always stuck with me. Whatever I learn, I just like to teach.
And what you're saying reminds me of somebody who, there's a story about this fellow who was creating or growing corn that was always winning competitions and best prize, best corn, this and that and the other. And he was telling somebody that he
Sorry,
gives
I didn't get you there, DK.
or he was saying that he gives his neighbors from his best corn seeds for them to grow as well. And the person said, well, that wouldn't make them your competitors. But he said, when the breeze blow and things get pollinated, if my neighbor has bad corn, that means they're going to pollinate with my good corn and the quality of mine will decrease. So I guess that also helps to keep you at a bar that is at a level. Because if people say, well, wait,
Correct.
I can make it as good as Rachelle. Wait, best I do it myself. But with regard to those lessons, though, and you said that teaching is something that you wanted to do and you were thinking about as a child. What are some of the things that go into teaching this type of skill? Because I know the flyer says that all ingredients will be provided once they pay up for that, and we'll be talking about what it actually means to be a part of the class in the next half of the conversation. But how does it feel to be able to teach at this point in time? So yes, you're teaching because it's something that you thought about doing at an early age.
Well, it actually is not the first venture that I have taught. Back in 2017 and 2018, I used to do jewelry making. And I would have had workshops where I taught persons how to make handbags and African jewelry. So this is nothing new to me.
You're sure enough, Rachelle? But we continue the conversation when we return. We're speaking with Rachael Hinds, the founder, the owner of Taste Caterers. Stay with us. We will be back with more. Welcome back. We are speaking with Rachael Hinds, the owner of Taste Caterers in Bethel, Tobago. And Rachelle, you've had classes already. So what is the first class that you had? Because you had a class in January. What was it about? What did it cover? And what was the feedback like?
Okay, the first class I had was bread making, pizza dough, and hot cross buns. The feedback was really pleasing. It was not what I expected. Persons were messaging me, thanking me because, for example, I have persons who are, what I should say, married and probably tried making bread twice and that was it. It was a failure. And they came to class and they made it for themselves. Listen to me, I did nothing for them. I just guided them, instructed them. They followed my instructions and they left with perfect bread. So days after, persons are messaging me, thanking me, my husband no longer has to go by his mommy on a weekend to get bread. I'm doing it for myself. Added to that, I had an 11-year-old. She was the smallest child in my class, 11 years. And if you see the kind of stuff that girl made, it just, it was just hard. My heart just, melted because I'm like, Rachelle, this is what you are doing, seeing persons learn and evolve, empowering, developing their skills. It was really nice. Persons were referring persons to me for classes. So right now, I have classes that I have to do over and over again, especially the bread making, because first it's a basic thing that everybody needs to know, making bread.
But Rachel, it feels as though you're saving relationships one loaf at a time.
Exactly, that's it. That's what we intention.
No, but that's a big thing, because you might have some mommy-in-law vex with you and say like, wait now, he not coming by me
No,
on the
well,
weekend
easing
again.
them up and easing up their work. They're getting more time with their husband.
Yeah, but let me know though, because I think I saw something. I'm not sure if I believe it, but these courses that you're doing one day, they're
Correct.
one day courses.
Correct.
So you're saying in one day, you're fixing people and tweaking them so that they're producing these kind of things?
One day is all you need with me. And the way in which I teach is not hard. It's basically what to say. Once you know the basics, you can do from that, like the puff pastry class that we did and the flaky dough. I show them how to create the dough from scratch. It's a long process. So that class we could have only done puff pastry and flaky pastry dough. And we made items from that. So I would have showed them like 3 items in class, what to do. And they would have now I said, go on, pull up your phones, go on YouTube or go on Pinterest and choose an item that you want to make from your dough. So after teaching them like the pastry hoe, and I would have shown them how to wrap the hoe, and I provided the tool. And then I told them, go on, learn, try something. One of the young ladies went on and she said she wants to learn to do Danish. I said, well, look at the pattern, look what they did, and do it for yourself. And right there in class, she did it. So it's just learning the basics, knowing how to make your dough. From doing your dough, you know what you could create from your dough, your pastry dough, your flaky dough.
And I wonder though, because you say right there in class she did it, is the class virtual? Is it in front of you in terms of like face-to-face? And if it's face-to-face, do you have to take safety protocols into consideration? How are you doing that?
Correct. As I told you before, our business it's home-based. But I am not operating from home. I am operating from a restaurant. I'm using the kitchen area. That restaurant was closed due to the COVID. So I would have reached out to someone and they gave me the use of the building. So I only take 5 persons at a time. They wear their mask. I tell them whenever they are becoming uncomfortable, they can just take a walk outside. We have a nice environment. It's close to the seaside. So you go outside, you have some nice sea breeze. You come back in, you catch yourself, and then I deal with you after because it's individual attention. So you're not missing anything. Even though you step outside and you come back, I'm going to deal with you after and show you exactly what it is we did a little while.
And how long is that day? Because even like if you talk about pastry, you only want it flaky. You want to give it time for it to do what it's supposed to do. You're not trying to stress the flour too much. So what does a day look like in terms of like the start and the end? And how do you get the materials well, I'll ask that after, but how long is that day?
Okay, so we start this last class I had, we started at 9:30 and we were done by about 6 o'clock. Yes, so it's an entire day because the rolling and folding of this particular dough, you have to leave it in the freezer for at least half an hour for it to set. So every person's dough goes into the refrigerator. It's tagged, they put their name, the time they put it into the refrigerator, and the time that it's expected to come out.
I really like the fact that that small allows for that individual attention, because sometimes it's just how you have your elbow, how you're turning that flour. And I have an uncle, he's getting me very upset because I try to do what he do. He showed me the thing, I don't get it. So I don't know if I need your classes, but at the same time, sometimes it feels as though that person just have it and I don't. What would you tell somebody like that? Or what would you tell me?
You may not get it on the first go, but you need to try. Some things you have to practice and practice and practice. You can't just give up. And when they are in class, what I do, I show them the correct way in which to how you hold your fist. Yeah, you need here, not with your fingers, the correct way in shaping. There is do's and don'ts in baking. For example, I'll give you an idea. When you're baking bread, you ever try baking bread at home and sometimes it never really rises up? Okay,
Yes.
so we're going to deal with
yes,
that
Rachelle.
When you are putting your ingredients for your bread into the bowl or whatever you're using, usually you will put all your ingredients on top, right? So we are accustomed in the Caribbean, everything we piling on top in the middle. Now there's a trick. You don't ever let yeast and salt come together. Salt deactivates yeast. So you might be mixing a bread, put all the ingredients in the bowl. The husband call, darling, what is for dinner tonight? And you on the phone talking to him, telling him what to do. And the yeast is there on top of the salt and it's deactivating the yeast. So you will knead the bread and you realize it's not rising, or when you put it in the oven, it's just not coming out because of that. So usually I will tell persons, when you're putting the ingredients, even though you're putting it to the middle, put your salt in one corner and put your yeast in the other corner. And that is what a lot of them were having. They were putting the ingredients, salt and the yeast. And as I said, salt deactivates yeast. And that was one of the main problems with some of them. The bread wasn't rising, you know? So they learned something.
Well, I learned something too. But
also, when you're putting, like, if you're using milk in the bread, it's not supposed to be too hot. It's just warm. The heat would have killed the yeast.
Also deactivated,
so you learn two things.
Yes, ma'am. And I know the milk and the temperature thing, but I didn't know that salt and yeast though. So write that down. But in terms of signing up for the classes, how much in advance does someone need to sign up? Like, do people say, okay, well, we want to learn this next? Or do you have a schedule, say, okay, well, I'm going to treat with this next, and then we do pastries after, and then we do bread and pizza dough again. So how does that happen?
Okay, so signing up for the class, it's simple. When I post a flyer, I give the individuals a deadline for them to pay, because I have to source the ingredients and all the necessary things for them, because everybody goes home with whatever they prepare. If I need trays for them to go with their pizza, I will have to source it. So they have to pay in advance so I can know how many people I'm catering for. So it's not like tomorrow is the class here, so you're interested today. It doesn't work like that. So you tell me up in front. I schedule you, I tell you if the class is full and if you want to come on a specific date. I also cater for persons who worship on a Saturday or Sunday. So if you worship on a Sunday, you could come on a Saturday. Like for the kids, they may have like the extra activities on a Saturday. They may have, classes on a Saturday, private classes, and may not be able to come. They can come on a Sunday. So it's up to you, Saturday or Sunday. So you just message me. I will put down your name, take your information, and we liaise from there.
No. Two things, Rachel. Just looking at some of the pictures in terms of researching and getting ready to have this conversation with you, you already kind of expanded my horizons. Even before you talk about I can't get over the yeast and the salt. But in terms of the savories that you do, I saw something like, and I tell myself, okay, well, I could use salami to make those kind of cups, the way that you would have folded them, and that's something that I can do with the children. So, so understand? So we're getting ideas now. And it looking like petals. So we're having fun in the kitchen.
Those are rosettes, and those are done using the puff pastry. You cut small pieces of puff pastry, and you can use your type of meat, but to get that style, you'll have to use like the pepperoni sausage. And there's a particular way you place the sausage on the pastry dough, and you will roll it. And you put it into one of those cupcake pans to hold its shape. You're not going to just put it in a regular tray. You put it in a cupcake pan, so when it expands, it keeps the shape.
Keeps the shape.
And they don't take long to bake. So these are fun activities with the kids you can have.
Definitely. And the other one, I want you to explain yourself, Miss Rachelle, because I see a donut with something peeking out of the top, and I don't think it's water. Drag your bow, Miss Fiddler.
Okay, so those are donuts, and they are infused with alcohol, and that's an option. So if you are having, say, a celebration for your kids, and they are having donuts, you could simply put like fruit juice in it. It doesn't have to be alcohol. Just make them feel, the thing. You could put a little sparkling water, a little champagne in there.
Definitely. But we're taking all these tips and we're running with it. Very glad that you were able to make the time, Miss Rachelle. Thank you. Remember, it's Take a Taste Caterers and in Bethel, Tobago. And we will put the handles up for social medias after. But thank you once again, Rachel. And on behalf of the entire news team, I'm Dike Roster. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.